Yeah, welcome everyone to our regular meeting, pre-meeting for our monthly meeting. Let's get started. So there's no old business, on the new business. Let's review the agenda for tonight.
All right. As you know, we do have two public hearings. Stand at least on the conditional use. The applicant will be here. They provided a notification. Just for follow-up, the planning commission did meet last night with quorum. Did ratify the recommendation of the conditional use. So, keeping with that, they also reviewed the zoning ordinance amendment to change certain provisions regarding solar panels on detached accessory structures, and are making recommendations for that to move forward. So we will have a public hearing in the process, maybe in 2 months, on that potential change. So this might be our last, and we'll get anybody in the hopper yet. Our last conditional use hearing for solar panels on accessory residential structures. For the public hearing on the proposed zoning ordinance amendment, we do have copies. Thank you, Kathy and Marcy as well. And Andy was out taking pictures of the postings. So we do have all the procedural steps addressed in the preliminary or the exhibits. Just as basic guidelines, again, because this public hearing is for the purposes of informing and learning public opinion and comments on a proposed legislative change. It is different than the conditional use, which is an adjudicatory process where you have an applicant and cross-examination and swearing in witnesses, things of that nature. And we are slightly different than the Sunshine Act provides for comments, agenda items and matters of concern by residents and taxpayers, limited to 3 to 5 minutes to go through. So as part of the explanation of the proceedings, we make the statement that we are not limiting people to 3 minutes or 5 minutes, not under the MPs or the Sunshine Act, but please not be repetitive. Understand we have a lot of people here. If somebody said what you would have said, you have to say that. Something in writing, we'll certainly take it, but that's a process for a legislative public hearing as opposed to a quasi-judicial public hearing. We won't swear people in. We do have a court reporter. For one reason, we had one, we needed one for conditional use. That is mandatory. Public hearing on legislation does not have to have a court reporter, but we do find it does keep things a little more focused and can control the room sometimes, particularly when there are a lot of people. We have the court reporter that's there. Purposes of all these steps are to make sure we're following the correct procedure, because if we miss some steps, there's a potential procedural validity challenge that somebody could raise either 30 days after enactment or years in the future if it's a big enough error. So we do have after the motion. On motion 5, the optional post-enactment legal notice that we do in some situations. That is one more step under the MPC for an ordinance. That is if at the end of public comment, you do decide to move forward with the ordinance in terms of a vote. That is your option. We've advertised and we've set up for that, but also knowing if you hear a lot of other ideas or other thoughts or anything else, you're not required to vote tonight. You can table it for further consideration at the next work session and discussion. But if there are substantial revisions to the ordinance, we essentially, I don't say start over again because it doesn't go completely to the beginning, but we do need to get planning commission comments. We do need to get Allegheny County Economic Development comments again, and have another public hearing before.
Repost everything on top of you again.
Yes, yeah. If there's still a zoning map change.
And send letters out to all the properties as well.
Yes.
Yes.
We have to refresh on amendments or revisions, but generally the guidance is do it again second time.
Oh, everything's civic, naturally.
Yeah. There's different opinions. Our approach is conservative, if anything other than a typo change.
You're talking about revisions to the version as we have it now. What would be the procedure if we passed it tonight and then wanted to amend it later?
Similar, I mean, but you would really start truly from the beginning, so it could be planning commission, it could be land use committee. But you would go through the same type of process of comments from those reviewing entities, a public hearing. And a vote.
I ask because it looks like some of the comments, both from planning commission and the county, you have not incorporated. And maybe we want to do that, maybe we don't, but something to consider.
Yeah, I believe at least in terms of the planning commission, the meeting last night. Xana reported that their recommendation was to remove the overlay and just make it conditional use in the M3 zoning district as laid out.
As laid out right now up here, or is the map, which is like the
That's the M3 is the dark brown strip that has the oil and gas overlay.
Oh, you're saying they want it just in the
Just,
thing. I see. And that was because it was too close to Lynbrook and it included some more residential properties, is that correct?
Because you didn't take into consideration, they didn't show that you took into consideration the closeness to the park.
I saw that, because, especially because of the height, like, of the allowed height necessarily, not the height. Okay,
No discernibility, said you can then in this, or
Yes, these are just, you know, comments from the county, comments from planning commission, or comments / recommendations. With them as you were, same with members of the public up there. As part of the process, they have the ability to provide these comments for your consideration. And yes, sometimes it is motion to table and think about them some more, even if none of those are really game changers or anything else, but really reading the room. People think it's a fait accompli, why am I even showing up? That can sometimes generate some anger when it doesn't need to be. Particularly if they understand there aren't any pending applications. Protective.
so if we were to decide to make some changes, whether that be to the, not pass it tonight, or not vote on it tonight, changes to the existing,
Mhm.
or if we were to pass it tonight and then amend it later to include some of these concerns or something else, it's roughly a similar process. What about cost? I know we have to. Okay,
yeah, because you're re-advertising no matter what.
right,
And so
either, in either
That's-
case,
fixed.
Like the one, there's slightly different advertising language if you're revising an ordinance that has not been enacted yet, so sort of this code. So that would be just some more work for Kathy and us to go through, as opposed to if it's new ordinance number 698 of 2026, follow the same process. And if it's just a text amendment in the future, you're not changing the overlay, so that is one of the comments. Text amendments don't require the posting or the personal notices due to the zoning map change that was triggered by the overlay.
then my next question is, do you all want to talk about the concerns from the county and the planning commission now, or wait till after we hear public comment? And decide whether we're going to incorporate those, not incorporate those, and if incorporate them, how? Can we wait till after public comment till we hear?
Maybe it's not now. I mean, it's almost 7. 10. How do you both feel? Comments from the planning commissioners, you make it just that little strip of
Just the dark
brown
brown.
right here.
But stop at the
Stop there,
black border,
right?
so it's just good right here.
So. In mind, if you're an applicant. And if you want to challenge this for feasibility, I have a very good case.
Adding the bigger lots, more flexibility and less restriction by us. Those properties are also owned by us and delegated interest, so. if available to get, you could buy them off one of them, but
The properties that are in the overlay as it exists.
the
currently,
kickoff,
The proposed,
yes.
yeah. Okay, so realistically,
They'd have to get that property back.
the chances would be slim,
would probably change.
right? And what about the proximity to the park? So any thoughts on that?
I mean, there's setbacks.
Train.
You maybe put something very small, the setbacks, apartments.
Yeah, I don't
Or that's-
disagree with you. I just think we should consider it.
Yeah.
It's something the
Oh, yeah.
planning commission brought up. And the county also said to consider minimum lot sizes. Because we talk about setbacks and we don't talk about minimum lot size for a data center. Is that something we want to consider?
You mean it would be too small? Like a minimum lot, I think when I looked at it like that sounded to me like. You know, do we really care if it's tiny, the data center?
No, I don't think so. But since that was something the county pointed out, I think we
Yeah.
should at least.
I
make
guess
a
if it was
comment
something you actually wanted to invite in, then you would probably be concerned about like how much space it would be taking up, but. The one I care about is the maximum size, right?
Yeah.
Which is dimensional, which we hit.
But we didn't talk about lot size maximum, which I don't think would be the thing to regulate.
Yeah,
Um,
just the size dimension of the thing.
because we do have height. And accessory uses height and setback.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure we're checking off all the boxes here.
Me too.
Yeah, I have one question, probably like Commissioner Butterstein was, is there an ordinance for the borough about light? Yes. Speed light, parking light, whatever.
Right.
So, do we have anything regulating? Light pollution, right? That's what it was.
Just the existing ones, but.
Yeah, do we actually have any? Something. Let's think about implementing.
We do know. We have a ordinance regulating light.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But
Okay, so that would apply here.
And the county had one more comment about impervious surfaces.
Parking space per 8,000 square feet.
The borough may wish to evaluate other dimensional standards such as impervious surface coverage and building coverage, but our other ordinances pretty much cover that, right?
The setbacks will really regulate what goes on the lot, and if you start regulating lot sizes and what you can do as far as size on the lot, it becomes exclusion. And I don't think we want to hear that, but if we stretch this to make it non-exclusionary. To the point where it's a good fit, but you know, if you start shrinking the zoning district and putting it in a place where physically it would, pretty obviously it's not gonna work. I mean, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you think our existing ordinances dealing with impervious surface and building.
Well, yeah,
surface is
impervious
fine.
surface stuff is regulated by the stormwater and.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure these lots are gonna take a lot of area, but. We also have to deal with, you know, they'll have to deal with setbacks and things like that.
I think that's all the comments that I saw from the planning commission and the county.
In the R3, does it just inherit whatever the zoning restrictions are in R3 overlay?
Well, it would be conditional use also.
Yeah.
But setbacks and things like that would be.
Yeah.
Subject.
Yeah. Limit that to one.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Any other thoughts? Those comments are just in general. like, for nodes. Okay, yeah, I just want to add some of this, community is, folks are a little misinformed on what this is. They have a perception that Borough is inviting applicants to come in, or we have an applicant. Not the case, so they're out there again. This is to provide guidelines and make a decision process.
Because we've seen a number of communities that didn't enact the data center ordinances. Then data centers could go in.
Spurville is where.
That's a good example. Yeah. And they're still locked in that battle.
Not looking to next. But it's what happened.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else? On
No.
this, or?
Not from me, thank you.
All right, anyone else?
All right. In terms of just the remainder of the agenda, nothing,
But if we do want to provide amendments in the future, we just have to have our land use committee figure it out, brainstorm it, and then come up with it. Process, set a planning commission. And then advertise it and set it. Okay. Okay.
I mean, you can also pair it with, other pending zoning ordinance
That's right.
changes, all into one. So that's another consideration. We have not introduced yet the, solar panel one. But as long as you're still talking about cell phone towers, other cleanup in general.
How's our engineer doing with our cell phone tower backup? Yeah.
Coming along well.
That's awesome. Great, next week. Hold the phone.
And we should be looking at cleaning up our.
Yes.
Very out of date.
He's the solar right away, that way fences are easy.
Yeah.
All right, and in terms of everything else previously discussed in terms of purchasing, and so Bob has accepted or will accept is to the Mason.
Okay. Any questions? And then, maybe the preliminary items, so, our mayor is going to, are you okay? Yep, so Chris Dell will be in attendance, our chief EMS, ambulance authority, receive these, yes. AC the year.
Right here.
All right, okay, so, manager items?
Yeah, last meeting, we had kind of talked about, upcoming grant that's due on July 31st. A multi-modal grant for the DCD. My intentions were to try to finalize the street crossing across from Old Orchard. But the amount of work left is underneath the $100,000 threshold. And so I need to pair it with something. So, in the vein of transportation and pedestrian, access, wanted to kind of tie it with a gap closing. So I sent you all, I think 11.
Oh, that's what the Google Maps were, right? With the
Yes.
little strips that were connecting sidewalks to the
Correct.
trails. Gotcha.
With ones that I thought were kind of low hanging fruit to attach. I have an overarching plan for everything off of Nicholson, try and kind of bridge one community to the next, to the next, to the next. We're not always on Nicholson. That'll be the most expensive way for us to do connectivity. If we can kind of leapfrog off of each other, I think that's kind of the best way to do it. And so my recommendation would be one of three. We either start on that Nicholson Run Road or the connective side, or try to address either one of the elementary school or middle school where there's gaps.
I really think elementary and school or middle school would be spectacular, like over Lenore and everything. I can tell you that there's kids that walk there.
Yeah, the middle school, it's relatively small gap filling.
Yeah.
Which I think would pair well with, the other portion of that application.
Zach, let me ask you real quick, on page 134,
Yes.
is that Nicholson Road?
Yeah, there's comments and everything that.
Or
Yeah, Nicholson, from, Nicholson was.
And then page 139.
Yeah,
Is that Wexford Run?
I'll listen.
Those are the only two that I didn't see labeled as.
Yes, that would be what. Yep.
Oh, you're confident.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I tried to make it so that you guys understand what was going on in my head.
Gotcha.
Oh, we do some.
Ever bothered to hover on the bubble? He's nice for your directional knowledge to figure it out. Okay,
But
thank you.
I'm okay with pursuing whatever you guys want to pursue. But for us to move forward that grant, I need secondary project to attach to.
I would say looking at these, the ones that are within neighborhoods.
Yeah.
I would say would be a little bit lower priority for me because it's probably already safer to walk on those roads than it would be on a higher traffic road.
I would echo that, any of those main roads, especially Nicholson was on the non-mountain speed limit. Most of them, yeah, I think. Over a neighborhood road, I mean, not that that is important too, but. Even with that, we're still trying to connect one development to the next.
Right.
Which are neighborhood roads, like for the most part, I'm trying to avoid Nicholson as much as possible, except for that big stretch. Which will be the most expensive of the proposed ones.
What you're trying to avoid, Nicholson,
At the moment, what I want to do
the
is bridge
Nicholson
every,
projects or just,
no, I want to do the project, like as in connect all those communities, so from Dr. Lee's plan all the way up to 910.
but you mean you're trying to avoid Nicholson as in keep foot traffic off Nicholson as much as
Correct.
possible,
Yeah,
not avoid
Going
Nicholson
through the
project.
plans instead
Got it.
of
Okay,
having a sidewalk directly next to a 45-mile-an-hour speed limit.
I will say, having just said not prioritizing within neighborhoods, Lenora Drive does seem like a good option because I know people travel quickly along that road. And having a safer place for students to walk is attractive.
And when my kids were little, before I was on council, I remember presenting a request for help from council because of the kids walking on Lenora and the fact that there's very little traffic control.
And my application will be stronger for identifying a risk for children, I believe, in my writings now. So if we were to pick one of the middle school or elementary schools, I think we'd have probably a better chance.
You need us to pick one, right? Not just to float out.
Yeah, it's a due July 31st.
Yeah.
So that means you guys are gonna have a resolution
Yeah.
at the next regular meeting.
Yeah.
I need to start getting quotes together. I need some sort of guidance. I only need one to get over the $100,000 threshold.
I like Lenora, but I also really like Rochester, but I'm understanding that that has been broached before and is not feasible somehow. Or not
At the
desirable.
elementary school?
Yeah.
You're referring to?
Yeah.
Uh,
I talked about this briefly 2 weeks ago.
Regardless of what we're gonna do, we're gonna impose on the few to benefit the many, right?
For sure.
And so, you know, what do you think the problem that it solves is the best problems to solve, right? Because we're gonna inconvenience people regardless of what we decide.
Uh-huh. Sure.
I will say, going back to Lenore, because I have some personal experience with it, the folks that live around there do have a very big concern for the kids that are traveling that path. And if there was some inconvenience, I'm guessing they'd probably be willing to live with it for the safety of the
Yeah.
kids.
And then as well as with this, I went and met with Marshall this week, talk about how they do connectivity, the different creative solutions they've done in the past, and kind of how they've gotten where they are. The short story is they started in 2005, there's 20 years ahead of us. And so, you know, the same concepts, processes, right, grants, when you have the money to do it, when you don't, you don't. And you start trying to connect communities, same exact thing, except for started in 2005. And they do a few creative things, right, where if there are businesses or residents that are willing to give them a right of way outside of the PennDOT easement, that allows them to put in a trail instead of, you know, full sidewalks. But that's not always the case. So they try to be creative where they can. Their main goal is just filling in the gaps.
Do you have any input on this?
Historically, we've gotten a lot of complaints about kids walking on Lenora. Gary, we put those crosswalks in and all that other stuff. So I would lean towards Lenora. I don't know exactly where Zach was talking about in Rochester or for the elementary school.
Yeah.
There's a crossing guard for, Franklin Estates in that plan. So that's already addressed. And I believe the buses provide, or NA provides buses for the people who live on the other side of Rochester Road. I don't think we want to, even if there was a crosswalk or anything, I don't think we want to encourage that crossing there when they have the buses, because people don't obey that stuff. Lenora's already got a nice residential sort of setting. While Lenora, there's a lot of traffic at school time, and it's not as much of a risk, I think, as Rochester Road. So that's our two
See the
cents.
map, the proposed map on Rochester.
Sure.
It's like a route.
And you can scroll up and down if you want to see all the
So,
proposed
Yeah.
areas.
He said one would get you over the threshold.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're already on 80, I think they're 60 to 80,000 left per crosswalk at Orchard. So I'm thinking over 100,000, so. Any of these projects we get us there. What you got fired about?
So Lenore, that's good. I agree.
Happy with that?
And it helps with like the situation, child safety. That relates when it's like Nicholson Road, not the one to connect. You both like the speaking. Yeah. Here's other ways like get around, your back and stuff. But there is this, we'll say it's a YMCA,
Yeah.
road, that's a very short strip.
Yep.
That actually might be worth adding on to this, and you all agree.
Looking at page 135.
Yeah, 135. Yeah, so there are lots of kids walking, running, whatever, along Entrance Street property, one of them is for sale, the one C one spot.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does cut across those three, so it would be. And those, and it looks like there's some setback pretty far, like eastern, unlike the Rochester.
Right.
So I would advocate for that. I don't know what you think. This goes across three property lines. It provides connectivity from Line all the way up to Sheets, which technically is wrap around all the way to Bridgeport subdivision.
That makes sense. There's no reason we can't include three
You
projects.
can include multiple.
It's up to 3 million, right? Is the.
Yeah, we send a match of 30%.
There's
So the bigger we get, more contribution.
There's time limit on like this.
Well, it depends. Most of these grants usually have a 2 to 3 year window, so we can drag our feet and be creative and, Yeah. Well, you, I'll have to make. Yeah, yeah.
We could potentially look at the top three and just budget
Right.
accordingly.
It's a public meeting. If you want to have a seat over there, you're welcome to put in.
Yeah, I would say pick one or two.
Sir. Right back there then.
Okay,
Yeah, one or two of these, and, the rest of the work needs to be completed across the board.
Yeah.
Like you said, that one on Rochester is relatively short.
Yeah, that's Nicholson.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah, that one.
So that was middle school and YMCA.
Yeah.
Those seem like strong arguments to make an application.
The other thing I had was, we had talked about trying to put together like an actual inventory of where all sidewalks, are within the borough. So we reached out to LSC and Sean to see, what a price would look like to put together an actual map of everything we have established. We know our gaps that need to be filled. And so we've been actively pursuing, connecting our communities. The price was 4,500, and Sean, you said that was the high end likely?
Yeah, like everything we do for you, you build hourly based on the effort that we go. I think that's probably the upset number. It is a little bit labor intensive to go through. Yeah, end product would be PDF map like this, and then, shape files for GIS, if you bring in your GIS.
Yeah.
Information visually.
I think that's reasonable, especially as we're moving more into the parks and recreation comp plan. I think that would be really crucial information to have.
I think it's very helpful now that our development is kind of slowed, but the next stage is now tying all these developments together, some sort of.
Yes, people were very clear in the last comp plan, they wanted connectivity.
So is that a manual intensive process?
Yeah.
Somebody literally driving around?
Oh, no, it'll be primarily, GIS.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not to drive the borough. Maybe some field verification, but for the most part, we got pretty good at data from, aerial photography.
Anything else?
Or it might be.
Oh, wait, I do have one more thing. Sorry. The EAC meeting is moving, correct?
It was on Monday.
Okay,
Yeah,
can
so.
we advertise that somewhere, like announce it?
It was advertised
Yes,
in the paper.
But like, can we put it somewhere people actually are gonna see it?
yeah.
Like,
And we changed everything on our website, advertise it legally, we're fine.
maybe like
But-
on social media.
Yes,
for
can
people
do.
usually on, just to let them know. Thank you. That's the last thing I.
Thanks. Let's see, the first council meeting, the first.
I was just gonna say that Zach and I met with the committee for the Parks and Rec Comprehensive Plan last Wednesday. And the first meeting, touch base, meet the consultant, get some ideas rolling, so I think it went well. We're gonna have a good group of people, lots of different perspectives, different ideas, so. This will be, oh, and actually in that same vein, do you know if we have a QR code, because we talked about at the festival.
Second, you made contact with her, so I
Okay.
have him at another meeting tonight.
Okay.
I can get more information for you.
Okay, and then we can ask Shawnee, if you don't mind, to pass that, because we were talking about having. For people to take the survey for the comp plan, we're hoping to get lots of input from young folks also. And you're certainly more plugged into that
Yeah.
demographic than we are. And if you could maybe share that QR code for them to take the survey, when it's ready.
Back earlier, but I said I had no. So we were fine.
There is a separate stall in the park.
I'm using ours, yes.
That's all for me, but you had something?
Yeah, I actually forgot.
Yeah, okay.
But two things. One, I know that I emailed Nurse Kummer about, that house. They actually ended up never telling me who it was, so I went by and drove myself, and I got the address. It was 1706 South Hawthorne Drive, or the address where, yeah. And then, as for the social media situation, I know that last time we talked, we mentioned that we did a lot on Facebook and stuff like that, and I don't know if I did bring up that I think Instagram would be a great place for us to also, advertise the QR code survey. I think would be great. I know I'll post that on my Instagram, so that way more people, cause you can like hyperlink things and whatever. But also a lot of people my age use Instagram more than Facebook, so I think that, I know that the borough does have, I'm sorry, I don't want to be insensitive at all, but, I just want to mention.
We're all aware. Painfully aware.
So I personally don't have a Facebook, but I do know that there's like good activity for the borough, but I do know the borough does have an Instagram, which last time I checked doesn't like frequently post at all, which I think you can sync up Facebook and Instagram. So at any point, I know there's a lot of stuff you guys do, but I think if we'd be able to like sync both of those things up, so when you post on Facebook, you can do the same thing on Instagram. That way more people can see that. I think it would be a great way to get more outreach that way. And then the last thing was about the stormwater engineer that we have. I believe they're CEC, correct?
Right.
I would just ask, I don't really know much about it, but I would just ask to know, when do you guys hire or like look at new applicants for stormwater engineers? Too much. That was just all the information of the house.
Basically, when we're dissatisfied, or we want a change of opinion, or a change of how we kind of operate. Right now, we have CEC with two major projects set for 2027, for stream bank restoration, right? At the end of that, if our next permit cycle is in, construction base, we might look to explore, somebody else. There's no real set time, for a consultant. Their service is great and you enjoy working with them. Do that practice.
Yeah, that's all.
Works.
I did.
Yeah, go ahead.
One thing, the reason, Lieutenant is here tonight instead of the chief, I don't know if you said that before you walked in, but, is because the chief is at Quantico, because Sergeant Stishian is graduating tomorrow from that federal academy. He made it.
And I was just talking to, Laura, and I think it'd be a good idea if he came and
Yes,
explained to you guys what he learned and that stuff.
yes.
Yeah.
That's Mark.
Plus, he's gonna be taking my place, and so he's gonna be sitting in this chair sometimes when the chief stuff. It's good to get him up here. He's a good guy, but he's a bit shy around these settings, so he needs to open up. We'll make that up.
That's all.
Okay, nothing else.
All right, I don't have anything, so, it's time for executive session. Yeah, so, all right, we're going to see, reach us to executive.